small group today because everyone's everywhere right now. So since it's just you guys, let's ask, is there anything you specifically wanted to talk about today? Either one of you, Kelly or Marty.
I got nothing for you.
Okay,
Hello, hello.
that's all right.
Okay, Connie here as well.
Okay, hi Connie.
Hi. Okay, I've had this problem since the beginning of time.
Okay,
When I go on an appointment, my whole goal is to get them to sign a contract.
okay,
Oh, yeah. How I don't know how to like get over.
awesome.
They just want me to come over and take a look at the house, tell them how much I'm going to charge, all that. But they don't want to sign a contract. How do you like make them sign the contract so you can move forward?
Okay, great question. And that's funny because we were actually going to do the buyer consultation today. So very similar. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into that. And then you let me know if we answered that. And Connie, it's going to happen. So everyone, here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go into having the appointment and how you actually get them to sign the contract to commit to you instead of just kind of pushing you off, pushing you off, pushing you off. Okay. So this is on the seller and the buyer side. Okay. So first and foremost, you've got to position it that you are coming over there for that reason. Okay. So you have to make sure when you're talking to them in the beginning. So if all of you guys remember, what are our three things we're trying to do when setting any appointment? Number one, we're trying to find out their goals during the appointment. Okay. This is during the appointment. What are the three things we want to accomplish? We want to find out their goals for the move. We want to talk about our abilities to help them to succeed at that. And three, decide together if we want to work, if you want me to represent you in that process, and if you think I'm the right person to do that. Okay. So if you get those three things nailed down in your head that that's what we're doing at every appointment, it becomes a lot easier. Okay. So that's the first thing is start off with making sure they know we're going to decide in this meeting if we want to work together. Okay. And the decision to work together is sealed with the signature of the contract. Okay. So number one, I've got up here our prequal script. Okay. So none of these appointments happen without a really deep prequalification and making sure that you're going through all of these questions every single time. Every single time. And look at 20. When we meet, if we agree to work together, are you prepared to sign a commitment to hire me as your agent? Okay, so we know before we ever schedule this appointment if they're prepared to hire me, if they're ready to sign something to hire me as their agent. Okay, so that's the first thing. We're setting it out ahead. We're setting the expectations. And so then when we get to that part, it's just like, oh, yep, this is just the next step in what we're doing. Okay. How many of you with a digital or a actual hand are doing a formal buyer consultation every single time? You pre-qual, you set the buyer consultation. Okay, good. I want you to start thinking of that kind of half and half. I want you to start thinking about that as your proven process. If you get this proven process down for every lead, it doesn't matter where they come from, the grocery, an open house, or whatever, we're going to talk. I'm going to pre-qual you. We're going to set the appointment. And we're going to have a buyer consultation. And at that appointment, we're going to decide together if we want to work together. Okay. So you're going to hear that over and over and over throughout this. All right. So we are on page 53 of the script book. And we're just going to go through what the formal buyer consultation should look like. Okay. So this is the entire script for the formal buyer consultation. And the first thing you're always going to do is ask them, what are the three most important things you want to cover today? Okay. Because I want to know what you want to cover. And then I have a whole list of things that we're going to cover, but I want to make sure that we get those all together before we even dig in. Okay. Then I'm going to tell you my three goals for this meeting. Okay. Along with those, I have three goals. First, we're going to talk about your motivation to buy and the market you're facing to do that in. That's the number one thing they have to understand. What is your motivation and how am I going to help you succeed in that market? Then we're going to decide together if we feel like I'm the right person to lead you through this. And if you're ready for me to do that, then we'll create a specific plan and a roadmap for your journey. Okay, so that's the way the buyer consult's going to go. We're going to align our goals. We're going to decide if we want to work together. And then once we've decided we want to work together, then we'll create the specific roadmap. We'll set up the searches. We'll start talking about details. Okay, so that's when that happens. Okay, so we're going to reaffirm their motivation. Just like with sellers. Last time we talked, you said that you were looking for and I'm sorry guys, it feels so weird to sit down when I'm doing this. So if my energy feels different, forgive me, but it feels weird. Okay, so last time we talked, you shared that you want a 4-bedroom house in Indianapolis, walkable to restaurants and whatever, right? Is that still the case or has anything changed? Same as the listing consultation. We want to make sure their motivation is still the same as it was. Now, when you pre-qualified them for their motivation, their initial motivation is what led you to what's our next step? Is our best next step, the buyer consultation to sign a buyer agency agreement? Or are they too far out that our next step is maybe just coffee, get to know each other, and then I'm going to update you on the market? Okay, so remember, you might have two separate things because if they're too far out, you may not be ready to sign one anyways. Okay, but then you do want to make sure that they're committing to you some way. Okay, so make sure their motivation has not changed. Okay, then you want to go into, here's how I work with buyers. Okay, when you're purchasing a home, my role is to represent you and your best interest through the entire process. Okay, that's important for them. They've got to know when they're hiring a buyer's agent, you represent them and their best interests only through the entire process. I work exclusively for you, not the sellers. So my job is to negotiate the best price, the best terms, and protect your investment for your purchase. Okay, what that really means is that my job is to help you make smart decisions. I'm going to make sure you fully understand the market conditions, you're investing, and how that might affect the investment positively or negatively in the future, right? So your job is going to be help them understand what they can invest in, what this market's going to allow them to invest in, and then what their future looks like on behalf of that investment, positive or negative. Okay, if we accomplish that by closing, would you feel like that's been a success? Sorry, I missed the whole last part. Negatively in the future. And how we write the best offer to get your perfect home and make sure that happens. Okay, so you're walking them through, here's where you're hiring me. Here's what I'm going to help you do. Okay, if we do that, would that have been a success? Great. So then let me ask, what other questions do you need from me to feel comfortable with me representing you? So this is the first time we're going to go ahead and say, okay, are you ready? How's that sound? Is that what you want to hire me for? Okay. And they're going to say yes, or well, no, I'm not sure I'm really ready to hire anyone yet. Perfect. No problem. We don't care what they say ever. We just move on. Okay. We're not attached to the outcome. If they sign, then great. Let's get on to the fun stuff if they sign then, right? We don't have to go through any of this other stuff if they sign then, unless they have questions about it, okay? But if they're not ready, let's talk about, I'm going to open my chat box. If you get to this point and they're not ready, why do you think? What do you think could be holding them back? You can come off chat or you can throw it in the chat box, but what might they not be ready for yet? If that's all the farther we've talked right now. Put it in there.
You haven't demonstrated your value.
Right. Now, they may not know. So this is going to happen on the people who have not been referred to you, right? If you met them at an open house and this is your first meeting, you are not going to get them to sign right here. Now, here's what I'll tell you. If they're a referral from your past client and they looked at houses with the friends the whole time they were doing it, they know you, they're invested, you're probably going to sign right now. Okay, so regardless, it's your process, no matter who you're sitting with, and depending on how long this is going to depend on how good your relationship is with them. Okay, so that's why you definitely want to always be asking. Okay, great. So let's talk about the market you're stepping into then. Okay, because probably what they're not ready for is they still don't really understand how all this works. I still don't understand what this market is. I still don't understand what you're going to do to help me succeed in this market. Okay, it's important that you explain that to them. Okay, how many of you are practicing this, how to describe a transitional market, a seller's market, and a buyer's market to your people? You've got to know how to talk about this and what it means for your buyers, okay? Here's how I always thought about it. Of course, the script has all of them in there for you. However, a buyer's market means who's in charge? The buyers. Who holds the cards? The buyers, okay? That's why they call it that. So if the buyers are in control and the buyers hold the cards, what does that mean? They have lots and lots and lots of houses to choose from. They can be very, very, very picky. They can negotiate to the last little penny, right? We're going to pull everything we can out of the value and the condition of that house because we're in charge as the buyers. Okay? So that's important for buyers to understand that. If the sellers are in charge and they have an uphill battle and they're coming into this, right? This is COVID after the pandemic. You don't have a lot of grounds to stand on. Sellers are in charge. Sellers call the shots. If you want a house, you're going to pretty much have to do whatever the sellers say. You're going to have to give up your inspection potentially, right? Scariest thing done for buyers. But when we are in an extreme seller's market, sellers are leading the market. Okay? What are we in right now? The transitional, right? Yeah. So this is where it gets real, real, real hard and where your value becomes the most important. Because in a transitional market, there is no blanket exception on how we negotiate these offers. Every market is going to be different. Every micro market is going to have a different market. You need a realtor that can help you understand the exact market you are facing for your price point and your area and how you're going to be able to succeed and get that offer accepted. Okay? So here's how we move forward. Do you understand the market? Okay, so we're going to explain that market to them. Do you understand that market? Okay, great. Now let's talk about what that means for you in this market. Okay, so we're going to get a clear idea of what your absolute must-haves are versus your just nice-to-haves. Okay, because that's going to be super important. Okay, we're going to set some expectations on how quickly you want to be in and how long it might take us to navigate this market. Okay, we're also going to dig deeply into our competition. How much competition are we dealing with? When you're in a buyer's market, there's a lot of competition. You're going to have a lot of houses potentially to see. If we're looking in a seller's market, we're not going to have a lot. There's going to be a lot of high demand, and we may have an uphill battle trying to get that house. So we need to understand all of that. Okay, so part of my job is not only to educate you right now, but to keep you updated every single week while you're looking for houses on what's happening in your exact price point and market. That way, as the market's changing around you, you will always have the best information to write the best offer you can when that right house comes along. How's that sound to you? This is the second time you're going to say, okay, so do you feel like with that information and what I'm going to do to help you, I'm the right person to help you buy your house? Likely, they're going to feel pretty good and say yes. Okay? Because you've explained the market. You've talked through their needs. You already pre-qualified them. You know everything they need to be successful. And now you're just going to match those together. Great. And here's how I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to help you understand the market, right? Here's the current market that you're buying in. I'm going to help you watch the market while you're there. And I'm going to help you interpret everything that's happening throughout it for your competition, houses that come on, houses that sell, all of that kind of stuff. Is that what you're looking for in the realtor you want to represent you in the purchase? And if I do those things, do you feel like you'll have a really good idea of what you're purchasing? You'll have confidence in your investment and everything. Okay. How do you guys feel? Do you feel like you've covered that stuff with them if you explain the market conditions and how you're going to help them succeed.
I have a question
Yes,
about,
ma'am.
because you just spit out, well, we're in a transitioning market. So
Okay, great question.
months, I just have this July stats up and it says 2.3 and it's for every house, every kind, every township. So when I whittle it down to like Hamilton County, it's not that bad. So I pick the county I'm in and then tell them, okay.
Yeah.
And then what's the number where I say, okay, it's equal? Is it 3?
Yeah, this is really hard. This
Oh.
is hard right now. And this is what all the economists are kind of discussing. So the typical market has been 3 to 5 months of inventory is transitional.
Okay.
5, 6 plus is a buyer's market. Under is a seller's market. Okay, we're coming out of an extreme seller's market. So we're getting there, Connie. What you've got to know is as that increases, as the inventory increases, we farther. More inventory means buyer's market. How much inventory do we need to say that the buyers are in full 100% control? We don't necessarily know. In the past, it's been at least 6 months of inventory. We know the buyers run the shots.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, what you want to know is we've gone from 0 2 years ago to 2.3 months of inventory. That's a lot of inventory for what we're used to. So that's how we're seeing this shift back.
Okay.
That's what's causing this transitional because we're in the middle of going from one to the other.
Okay.
Great question. What other questions about that? Okay, so it's your months of inventory that's telling you how many houses are on the market. And then obviously your days on the market, right? When it's taking a longer time for houses to sell, that's what's causing a buyer's market. Seller's market, we have very little days on the market. Sellers do not want it to take long to sell houses. Okay, good questions. What other questions? Okay. So then you're going to get them to sign the buyer's agency agreement then for the second time. Now, if they haven't, Connie, this is when you're going to have to work through objections. Okay? And this is the question you're going to have to ask. So I'm just curious, what else would you need to see to feel differently or be comfortable hiring me as your buyer's agent? Okay, so that's the question you're going to have to be comfortable to ask. If they are still saying no, if they are still saying no, if they are still saying no, you got to figure out why. And you got to ask directly to them, okay, so now what is it? What else am I not telling you? What has someone else told you that I'm not saying that you feel more comfortable hiring someone else as your buyer's agent? Okay. All right, so Connie, let's go back. And did that get you 90% of the way there before we get into objections?
Yeah, I was caught off guard and didn't do my pre-qual questions. So that would have been perfect, yeah. So now I think I need to call them back just to touch base again.
Yes,
and
yes,
ask those
yes.
in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, when we were together, I forgot some things, right? So when you have a time that we can sit down, I've got a few questions I'd like to go through with you to see how I can help you. Yep. And everyone, that's exactly every time it's just because we forget. It always is. We forget to ask for the appointment, right? You walk away and you're like, oh, I just forgot, right? I forget to pre-qual, or I forget one of the questions in my pre-qual, right? I asked everything else, but I forgot the one, right? What helps you with that? What's your solution for forgetting?
Practice.
I know. You guys, and we all hate it and we resist it and we resist it and we resist it. And it is the key. It's the only way you never forget to ask for the appointment. It's the only way you always know how to fit in. If you have a real estate question, do you have your go-to, right? It's the way you figure out how to talk about this market just really easily and explain it to them in and out and that kind of stuff. Okay.
But it's interesting because they don't all say the questions in order. So when he shoots out, well, I'm wanting to know how much you charge. And my little brain goes, don't tell him, don't tell him. And I was able to, well, I haven't seen the house yet and we need to get together. I need to, I did all that and they were happy with that answer. So I thought, you know, so then I
Yep.
like shoot all the other ones out of the way and think I got the appointment. Okay. But I didn't get all the
Ab-
questions. Yeah.
How
Oh
many of
well.
you have done that? All the time, right? And this is exactly why I say over and over, your proven process. Try to do the same thing for every person every single time, because what do you know? When you do all of it, that's how they have their ultimate success. Right? The
Right.
people who have had the smoothest transaction, you've had the best engagement with, it's because they did everything you said from beginning to end. You led them smoothly through the process. Right? So that's what you got to just make your process the same for every single person. Every time I'm going to ask every person the same question. And I know, right? Sometimes you may even say, I know, I ask everyone this one. It does not even apply to you, but, right? If I did have to ask you what you want to pay me, what would you say? Okay, so
Yeah.
there will be questions that, but you still need to ask those questions so they truly understand.
Yeah.
So yes, practice and prequal questions. Remember, they need to be on your phones, easy to get, on your walls when you're doing your lead generation. Just hang them up there, because every question can be, every conversation can be solved by jumping into pre-qualification questions. Every conversation.
Hey, Marty, we can do tattoos.
Of your buyer agency.
There you go.
That could be scary. Don't do it.
We may not get that listing.
Okay, what other questions on the buyer consult?
Question, just two statements. Number
Okay.
one, like, I think I like my people to be my partner. Like, I tell them we're
Mhm.
business partners right now, right? And we're going to work together. So tell me what you know about what's currently going on in the market. Get them to tell you what
Yep.
they think they know, right?
Great.
And maybe they understand, maybe they don't. But by engaging in having those kind of conversations, that makes them feel like they're being heard, right?
Yes.
And when you go to talk about what your professional service fee is, I don't call it a commission. Our professional service fee is 3%. When you get to talk about that, people push back. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a buyer or if you're a seller. They're going to push back if you haven't demonstrated your value. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one way of getting people to value you is when you actually make a connection to them and you make them your partner and ask them, what do you know about that? Someone will say, I don't know anything. You're the realtor, you tell me. Okay, let's break it down. So
Great. Mhm.
that's my 2 points. I'm not perfect,
Yes.
but it works.
You found stuff that works. Yep. And that's why we're here, to share all that. Thank you.
And I'm going to
Yes.
say something
Awesome.
else. I'm going to say something else. James, I don't know you, but thanks for putting on your camera. There are people that are here. Julie invests her time, but they don't have their cameras on, so we can't see it, right? So when
It's
you're on
okay. I
Zoom,
allow
it's
that though.
yeah, when you're on Zoom, it's great to see people's faces. So
It
James,
is.
nice to meet you.
Yep. I love it. And great ways to meet partners too, right? Role play partners and stuff. Yep. Because you can get the people that are at a similar level to you. Yes. I love it. I love it.
Hey, Deborah, you had some very good points, and I think the major point is asking the questions because in the phone call I had with this listing, it's not a divorce. It's a mom died, and then there's two brothers that evidently own. Well, I have to bone up on, okay, how do I know they can sell the home? So I just asked the question. I said, okay, is all the paperwork? I mean, does this go to probate? And he goes, oh, yeah, I guess we have to think about all that, don't we? Well, that's why we're calling you. So it's like, yay!
Yep.
So it looks like I know what I'm talking about, which I don't yet, but on that, but I'll
And
find out.
You
here's something else. You can make this really simple, right? Like follow the leader. Everybody knows what chat is or Claude, whatever you're using. You can take this consultation script, put it into chat, and create an agenda for you and an agenda that you give to your client, your potential client. And then we can follow along. Like this is, and you know what? When you show up like that, you're 95% ahead of the game for everybody else.
yeah.
Because again, you're making them feel like they're a partner. Like
Mm.
these are the points. The purpose of this meeting is this, and we're going to go right down this agenda. Going to answer all of these questions, right? And that is a game changer. So if you're not utilizing that, Get with somebody who knows
Amen.
how to do it and use it. Because
Yep.
look, when you go to the doctor, what's the doctor do before he comes into the office? He or she comes in the office. They
Ask
grab
all
the
the
chart
questions.
that's outside your door, they review it, they come in with a clipboard, and they're looking at that while they're asking you questions. You're a white coat professional. You help
Mhm.
people with the largest financial transaction that they are ever going to be involved in, most people. And for you to
Yes.
have a chart to follow along with is okay.
Yeah.
And it's not a cheat sheet, it's a chart on that person. So
Mhm.
that's my preaching for the
I love it. All good stuff. All right. What else? Anything else to add to this awesome conversation? Usually I would keep us going, but because I'm in Austin and we start in 4 minutes. So, yep, I am going to get going. Lots more next week. Be back next week. Everybody's getting back off their summer train. We're back to accountability. We're back to our Tuesday mornings. We're going to see these calls get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, everybody be here and let's kick off this fourth quarter great. All right. I'll see you all next week. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye-bye.